Hello, everyone. I'm back. Very happy. Please tell us where you're joining from and which company you work at in the chat. Aurélien, can you share the slides?
Yeah, can you see screen?
Okay, I'm going to add them to the stream so that everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. So we have about 12 people in the audience. We have Susanna from Barcelona working at CUX. We have Vincent from Cobra, Fernando from Spain, Gabriel from Preply from Portugal. Perfect. It's one of the rare occasions that the cargo team is all in Paris, and so we're sitting in the same room. Alex from Belgrade, Albon Catalyst, Prajwal from India, and we have Quentin from Polar, I am guessing. Alexi from I'm gonna guess Pigment. Emilia from Pasta HR. Anay from Phantom Buster. Perfect. Sanjay from Greenleaf. Excellent. So we've got quite an audience here. Everyone, Ori, is hungry to know about what is vector search and what can we do with it. Maybe before we dive in, Ori, maybe do a quick intro for people who don't know you yet. Who is Aurélien? And why did you come about to start working on vector search? Why do we introduce this as a tool in cargo?
Yeah, so thanks for the intro, Tariq. So I'm Ari, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Cargo. Basically, we are revenue orchestration platform, and we allow teams to build like AI workflows for everything relating to sales, marketing. And vector search is very interesting because I'm going to present all of this in this workshop, but can allow you to like build like new use cases. Yeah. So let me literally like dive in. So the summary about this session, so 5 different things. So first thing is we're going to, we'll talk about what is vector search for the people that don't know. When do we need vector search versus like a simple like standard search? Then we'll talk about like GTM use cases, and then we'll do like a demo. And then after, like if you have any questions, would be happy to answer or to you guys. So what is vector search? So this is definition like I found online. So basically just like a method of searching by meaning instead of exact words. And so what does it mean under the hood? It means like basically imagine you ask, find me companies that ramp, early stage, growing fast, selling to safety. If you want to do this like in a match search, exact match search, it's going to start like being very complicated. Like how are you going to say like I want companies like ramp? How you define like companies that are early stage? How you define like growing fast companies? So it's kind of like different attributes that it's really difficult to map into like a SQL query or like some like basic segmentation. Um, but like if you ask this question, for example, to your SDR team or to your SDR, they know how to do this kind of things, and they're going like in this case to split this into like 3 different steps. So basically, if you ask the same question to your salesperson, the first thing like the SDR is going to do is interpret the context. So basically, it means what ramp means. So ramp is what? It's like a fintech. It's a B2B SaaS company. So everything that is around ramp. Early stage. So what early stage means? So early stage can means like Series A, recently founded, seed stage, pre-seed, all these kind of things. And when like you start by doing like interpret the context, the thing is going to do after is like find similarities. So looking for companies, looking for like similar companies to these different like keywords. And at the end, going to summarize this like this into like a message that you can use, for example, for outreach or like this kind of things. So this is how like your SDR would do it. And what is interesting about vector search is like it's actually working the same way. The first thing you're going to do is interpret the context. So like, what does it mean? It means like transforming like this question into an effective search query. So like and transform it like into a vector. So a vector is going to be like a list, like an array of number, and this array of number is going to be used to search for similarities like in a database. So really like understand what are the similarities between words, between yeah, like the different words, the different like sentences you have like from your questions and the database where you can have like all your companies, all your customers, all these kind of things. And then wrap this up and like just create summarize this so you can just leverage this into your GTM action list. So this is like how it works. And after, as I mentioned, we're going to do like a quick demo about how it works within Cargo. But so by understanding, yeah.
Yeah, maybe this point before we head to the details, I want to have a quick show of hands in the chat. Who has already played around with vector search? Maybe who has been playing around with RAGs, and what have you been doing with it? I'm asking this because we're going to use this for a later part in the slides. So yeah, please don't hesitate to put yes or no in the chat. Put examples of what you've been thinking about using vector search for, and we'll get you to talk about it. So Quentin has raised his hand. Quentin, also tell us what you've been trying to do. So is there a use case that you have in mind? Is there something that you've been trying to build? Put that in the chat and we'll pick that up in the convo as we go. Perfect. Back to you, Ori. Please tell us, when do we need vector search?
Yes. So like, yeah, vector search, I mean, is very powerful, but it's not good for all the use cases. So when do we need it? So we need it for, like, as we mentioned, so you care about meaning, but not exact filters. So if you want to find for similarities, for example, like you want to find leads that are similar to your best customer, or you want like to find similarities based on job titles, and you really want to understand. So for example, you want similar profile or from you want similar like RevOps leads. So basically, like you really understand like revenue strategy manager, revenue operation, like revenue ops, all these kind of things. The other use case where is interesting is when you want to search unstructured data or the input is going to be unstructured data. So like as you don't really have clear fields, for example, in your CRM notes, on LinkedIn description, on email threads, on call transcripts, same thing. It's something very interesting here because we were able to identify some pattern in the text and really like identify what are the best matches. And yeah, so when you don't want to deal with non-standard fields, so basically, as I mentioned, so when like you have like unstructured data as an input, so basically you're just going a good way to just like leverage vector search. However, there are a few use cases where it's not very relevant. So basically, first one is, I mean, we still need the old like way of filtering sometimes where you just like need strict filters. So basically, I want companies between like in the US where like the headcount is greater than 100. Like you will have better results by just like doing a SQL query or just like simple segmentation. Or for example, I only want like Series B companies with SDR team. So this is like very clear in terms of what kind of filters you want. So in this case, there's no value of just using vector search. It can even be worse because you can like what I explained here, like in the third point, you could have like undeterministic results, which means like from one call to another, maybe you will have like different results. but yeah, so this is like where you don't need like vector search. The second one is about like input data is already well structured. So basically, you have a clean CRM and you just want to like everything is already standardized. And another one is like deterministic results. So you want to update your CRM. Um, and of course, you just don't want like something undeterministic because you just want to update, for example, the company for this specific domain name or for this specific uh, like this lead for this specific email, extra. And like in this case, you just want to make sure you're not like updating all your CRM with wrong data. And so you just want like strict filters. So yeah, on this part. And then, so like with the cargo team, when we build this feature, we identify like 4 different use cases where we can see it's very interesting, and we present you one just after. But basically, the first one, and I think maybe is the ones that make the most sense, especially like yeah, with all the RAG and what you can do with OpenAI and ChatGPT and stuff, is content personalization. So basically, we extract, for example, all your blog posts, and based on some context of the company, we're going to understand so what's the best blog post to push to a specific lead. So imagine you have like your leads that visited some pages of your website, like some blog articles. So you stored all of this, and you want to nurture this lead by and by knowing like what pages he visited. So you're going to create like a very tailored message by with vector search and with like all the context, and yeah, finding the best article based on what he visited. So that's the first use case. Second use case that is very interesting is continuous scoring. So today, there's different ways to do the scoring. So you can just ask like you AI agent, for example, that is not really connecting to you go to market stack, but yeah, asking hey, like if this company do this or do that, or I want like tag this company high, medium, or low. What is interesting about continuous scoring is and vector search is that you can like find similarities between like a lead and, for example, like you close one account. So it's something that like a score that's going to be like continue improving based on the new people you score, extra.
Ori, just for
Yeah.
the audience who's less familiar, maybe make a contrast between what is points-based scoring and why is this, so different from it.
I mean, point-based scoring is very like you have one criteria, employees count greater than 50, industry is software, sales count is greater than 10. There's very like some things that are very that don't really evolve over time. So you have to set it once, but basically maybe you start to close different customers, and it's not going to be evolving. The goal like of continuous scoring is like you're going to vectorize all your CRM, for example, all your customers, and thanks to this, you'll be able to see like similarities between the lead you just outreach or the leads that visited your website and like your current customer database, and see if there are some patterns in comments. So yeah, that's it for these 2 use cases. The third one that is interesting is about first-party lookalike. So it's basically re-engaging close loss based on your close ones. So I'm sure like we all have like a lot of close loss because of like bad timing or these kind of things, but we always forget to re-engage it. And this, by doing this, is interesting. So for example, if you had, I don't know, like you outreach like a few fintech companies in the past and you just close ramp. So basically automatically it will allow us to see the similarities between like ramp you just closed and like the new like the old close list, and just like send you a message, hey, you should like reconnect with this company, like these different companies, because you just like a close ramp. So that's the first use case that is interesting. And the last one that is also interesting is like searching calls and nodes. So basically, it's all about unstructured data, and with that, you can have like all the context, yeah, of like you use the leads based on like the call you had, and like the node you like your sales team wrote, yeah, these kind of things.
Excellent. And so that being the theory part, let's move to this next section, which is where we show you how it works in cargo. Very quickly before I dive in, Aurelien, maybe give people a sense of how does it work. So what can you vectorize? How easy is it to happen to make place? And Quentin has a specific question on what are you using to vectorize? Like, are you using Snowflake embeddings, or how does it work?
Yeah, so cargo basically sits on top of BigQuery or Snowflake. So we're literally leveraging like this system of records to do like the embedding. So like we're leveraging like Cortex AI for Snowflake, and we're leveraging the equivalent for BigQuery.
Very clear. And so I guess the message is, and you'll see this in a second, if you have a data model in cargo, you can vectorize certain columns of that data model, and then you can use these inside an action inside a flow. And I'll be showing you that in a second. Theo has a question that we can address quickly earlier. So
Yeah.
for continuous querying, which data are you using? Fast calls, emails? How do you see this ideally?
So it's a good question. So it's going to be really like you need to have a lot of context on the company. So that's why you need the first thing. So like the vector search work pretty well is to make sure your CRM actually like has clean data. So at least being enriched, for example, with the LinkedIn data. So you have like the description, you have like the industry, you have all the data you can retrieve like from LinkedIn. And after like some context about yeah, what are like, for example, the use cases that like for what like what's the use cases of the company when you close this company, like and a few other transcript from the meetings. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. So let's go into how this works inside cargo. I'm going to do a very simple demonstration, and it's going to be in two parts. So as we said, your vector search is only as good as the data behind it. So let me show you the data model that I set up. I'm going to share my screen now. So this is just a data model that I built with the five-scroll scraper. I'm simply just going on like passing the Vercel blog URL. And then what I do is I go to vector search and I pass in the columns that I want to embed. So here I'm choosing markdown and title because this is where the content is included. I press save. And then as long as I resync, um, my vector search is ready to go. Then how it works in practice is you can see this inside a tool. Um, my use case is as follows. I take a domain. So here it's, let's say, ramp.com. I do some research on that domain to have a little quick and dirty summary of what they do. And what I want my vector search to do is look through that model of Ramp's blog, of Vercel's blog, and find the most lookalike sort of post that I can feed back to this domain with like an email hook. And so how that works is once I know what my company is like, or the company that I'm targeting, then I need to generate a semantic query for my vector search model. So vector search models are not like your regular LLMs. You don't just write a prompt and get an answer. You need to clean up the query, and mostly it just involves taking out these semantic terms. And here I'm taking them out, separating them with a comma, and making a bunch of those that I pass to my model vector search. So the model vector search is pretty easy to set up. You choose your model. Here I have one of the two, and I just pass the semantic query that I just developed before to it. And once I do that, it's from, let's say, the dozens of articles that I found on Versus blog. It found me let's say the 20 highest relevance ones. So here you can see that they're sorted by similarity, and then you have the entire content of the markdown that they found. Now, This so far gets you those relevant articles. Now the question is, what do you do with them? So I chose to do this in 2 steps. You could also do it in 1 step. My first step is I simply make a prompt to say, hey, this is the task that I'm trying to achieve. Can you now look at these 20 articles that came out and get me like the top 7, right? And the ones that are really pertinent to the hook that I'm trying to create. So it's the same results, just more filtered. I've structured the JSON so I get title, URL, and the match phrases inside. And then what I do is I send the results of my vector search. I send the results of my top articles formatted, and I write a little prompt saying, "Hey, you're writing an email with a hook from one of our content." And it produces a hook as follows, which then I can just push into the end of my tool. And so this is a tool that I can put into any of my sort of plays and keep making it alive. So just before the workshop, we were brainstorming with Max, and I think one of the coolest use cases you can do is use this, for example, for your website visitors. So if your website is visited by a certain domain and they've seen a particular page, a feature page, then you should just get back to them with some very cool value creating content that is matched via vector search to start a conversation. And so you can see in these sort of 3 steps, you set up vector search and you're good to go to deploy those use cases. How's that, William? Does anyone have any questions on how this works in Cargo? And obviously, we're very happy if this is something you're going to build for like a production grade use case at your company. We're happy to spend 15 minutes with you on a live call and help you set this up. And obviously, then we'll collect more examples of use cases we can build with vector search. Meanwhile, shall we go back to your slides?
Yes.
Do we have a use case that people have in the audience that we haven't covered or haven't talked about yet, but that they feel we should really address? And if not, can I have a show of hands of people who are going to use continuous search instead of their points-based search scoring from now on? Max is already a power user of continuous scoring. I think we should do a workshop just on that. Yeah. Dan, actually, you've seen the vector search use case before. I presented something very similar in the GTM Engineering School last Friday. Tell us in the chat, what would you like to build with it? Like, what's the use case there? Okay. Okay. While we get a response from Dan, some automated content search for one-on-one landing pages run for client campaign. Interesting. Cool. Okay, so you're searching against competitor content for a particular campaign that you use, and you're probably remarking the differences or maybe where you're better. Interesting. So takeaway from this event is you should use vector search. The second takeaway is if you have a cool use case like the one Dan has just pointed out, we're going to announce something called a hackathon in the first week of June. And so we'd love to see some tools that use vector search as a cargo tool. And if you're happy to participate, ping me on Slack, and we can present you during the demo day. And what we're offering is the best tools that we find that we think we could use for cargo clients, cargo users. We're going to offer to buy those from you and publish them as cargo tools. So watch out for that announcement. And if you have a cool use case, don't miss this opportunity to participate. Meanwhile, if you want to set up vector search and you don't know how to begin, just ping us on Slack on the cargo community, and we'll be happy to speak to you. Any parting words, Aurelien, for the workshop before we close this up?
I mean, if you have any questions, feel free to ask on the community. I'll be happy to shoot a deep dive with you anytime to see how we can help. with this new feature.
Perfect. But let's wrap it up. We have another workshop coming up next week with someone very cool called Joe Rue, and we're going to talk about MCPs. So if that's something you've been hearing about and you want to know more, then stay tuned on the Slack. I'm going to be announcing this today or tomorrow. Thank you, Aurelien, for your time. Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you
tuning in
guys.
live and for the people seeing
Cheers.
this async. We will catch you around.
Ciao.